Fenix SDS Access and Labeling Training. Understand the basics of Fenix raw material codes and formula keys. Understand how to access safety data sheets for raw materials and finished goods. Understand different types of labels. Understand the basics of GHS labels. Understand what to do if the label falls off a supplier vessel. Understand when transfer containers require labels. Fenix uses several different naming systems for finished goods and raw materials. Raw materials codes are 6 digits. Most contain 3 letters and 3 numbers such as XGY066. Tin paste raw materials contain 4 letters and 2 numbers such as XTAB01. Finished goods are identified by item keys or formula keys. An item key combines a formula key with a fill size. Formula keys occasionally specify which version of a formula is being made when multiple options exist. Example, 18100 XEA166. Formula keys can be found at the top of batch tickets. Understanding raw material codes and formula keys are essential for accessing proper safety information. The item key for any given batch ticket can be found at the top left of the first page. An example is shown outlined in red. HMIS information providing basic safety information about the product can also be found on every batch ticket highlighted in blue. HMIS stands for Health, Flammability, Reactivity, and Personal Protective Equipment. A rating of 4 signifies the most dangerous for a given category, 0 signifies the least dangerous. Each letter signifies a different set of recommended PPE. Default PPE for plant and lab employees includes long pants and sleeves, glasses, and steel-toed shoes. Additional PPE recommendations that may be specified for a specific formula include a mask or respirator. The standard HMIS recommendations for PPE do not line up with default PPE at Fenix, but it is effective for communicating additional PPE that does not need to be worn at all times. All Fenix employees have access to safety data sheets for all the products produced by Fenix, and for all the raw materials Fenix keeps at various locations. To access SDSs, use your own work computer, or the computer identified below. The following slide has a video explaining the process to access an SDS from any Fenix computer.
This video will show how to access an SDS from the Fenix intranet. First, you need to navigate to the computer you will use to access the SDS. This could be your own work computer, or this could be a public computer set up for SDS access for employees that don't regularly use the computer. If you're using a public computer, this procedure explaining how to access SDSs will be posted near the computer. First, we need to navigate to the Fenix intranet site. You can either use the link listed on the procedure or use the icon if you're using one of the public computers set up for SDS access. Click on the icon and you'll be prompted with a login. We have an email address set up for SDS access. The login information is listed on the procedure for that email. It is listed here, sdsaccess@fenixspc.com with the password. Sign in with the username and password. When you're prompted with more information required, click Next, and then click Skip. Do not enter a phone number. If you do, you will limit SDS access for other Fenix employees. When you're prompted with Stay signed in, click Yes. Once you're on the Fenix intranet, navigate to the SOP site by clicking on the 3 lines icon or by clicking SOP site. Once you're on the SOP site, you'll see several tabs come up across the top. These tabs include finished goods SDSs and raw material safety data sheets. You need to determine which kind of data sheet you're looking for. If it is a product produced by Fenix, it'll be a finished good SDS. If it is a material supplied by one of our suppliers or a raw material, it will be in raw material safety data sheets. Navigate to the correct database. Once you are in the database, you should be able to search by either item key or raw material code to find the correct SDS. Once you have found the correct SDS, you should be able to download it or print the SDS for carrying around your site. Thank you for watching.
Labeling training. GHS approved labels. GHS, or Globally Harmonized System, is an international labeling system allowing for communication of chemical type, hazards, and manufacturer. All the labels used on Fenix finished goods are GHS approved. Specific label requirements such as hazard pictograms, signal words, primary hazards are required. These labels are specially designed for the product and meet Department of Transportation requirements for shipping hazardous chemicals. All raw materials arrive with GHS-approved labels. Manufacturer labels must remain on raw materials and stored finished goods when kept on Fenix locations per OSHA requirements. If a supplier label falls off of a raw material, contact your supervisor to have a new label created with the same information per OSHA requirements. Paint manufacturing often requires the transfer of materials to secondary containers. Common examples of when secondary transfer containers are used: pre-mixing items prior to adding them to a batch, measuring of a raw material prior to batch addition, lab experimentation. When a vessel is used for material transfer, it does not require a label. A transfer container must be labeled if any of the following events occur: the material is not used within the shift of the individual who made the transfer, the worker who made the transfer leaves the work area, the container is moved to another work area and is no longer in the possession of the worker who filled the container. If a transfer container is being used, and any of the events above happen, a label must be created and applied to the vessel. The label must contain two key elements: identity of the hazardous chemical in the container, raw material code or item key. Hazards present. Fenix requires the raw material code and HMIS information on all labels. HMIS information is available on batch tickets and SDSs for all finished goods. If the HMIS information is not available for a raw material, contact your supervisor. The label to the right is an example of a properly filled out secondary container label. The example label is for a finished good. It contains the formula code of the product, as well as the HMIS information. The HMIS information could be sourced from a batch ticket or from the product SDS. Raw materials transferred into secondary containers would need the same kind of label if any of the following occurred: the material is not used within the shift of the individual who made the transfer, the worker who made the transfer leaves the work area, the container is moved to another work area and is no longer in the possession of the worker who filled the container. Examples of containers that require labels include transfer vessels that are used for exactly one raw material, and that are kept for repeated uses. Retain pint cans. All batch vessels, updated with accurate information for their current contents. Use your judgment, and the standards outlined in this video, to know when to apply a label to any vessel you are working with. Thanks for watching, and be sure to keep safety the #1 priority.